first pages came out in about 1957, and but the title of the book, I'll say the subtitle, which is more explicit, a textbook workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of racism. And of course, racism is explained and defined as being the system of white supremacy. And the basic book gives some suggestions. First of all, it gives an overview of what white supremacy is and how it works, and then some suggestions that are directed to the individual person about what each individual person can do each and every day to combat racism, or at least try to find a way to work through it in the most constructive manner and get the most constructive results as an individual person in every area of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And how that means that what an individual does in his or her interaction both with white people and with non-white people throughout the known universe. And it's just some basic suggestions. You can't make detailed suggestions for everything, every eventuality, but it gives some guidance, in particular in the way people should or should not go about interacting with each other on a minute-to-minute basis, whether they're on the job or in the streets or wherever, and how they should use their time and energy overall. And the second book, which is just an addition to the first book, is a word guide that gives some direction about how words are used, because in the system of racism is held together by, you might say, some glue that is called words, the use of words, how they are used and how they are not used. And the basic approach is to ask the person who uses the term if a person identifies someone else, or if the person identifies him or herself as a liberal, then that person should be able to explain what that means in all of the 9 basic areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. In other words, that person is supposed to say, well, in the area of economics, I'm a liberal. And I'm a liberal meaning in economics the use of time and energy and the way you spend money and the way you handle this and handle that. Well, I'm liberal by doing this and doing that or doing the other. And then when you move to education, well, when it comes to education, I'm a liberal in this way, and then be able to enumerate so that a person can understand in each area of activity what that person means when that person says that he or she is liberal. And the same thing when it comes to if a person says, well, I'm a radical, or I'm an extremist, or I'm a conservative. Whatever it is that the words that the person is using, say, please explain exactly what you mean, not what the person down the street means, not what you hear on television, but what do you mean, ma'am? What do you mean, sir, when you say that you are these things, or that somebody else is a conservative or a liberal or an extremist or a radical? Explain what you mean so that you get understanding, because in the system of white supremacy, the white supremacists thrive off of confusion. Confusion is an absolute must. If you're going to be a white supremacist, you must confuse your victims. Otherwise, you can't control them over a long period of time.